Remain standing for a moment of silence. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. I'd like to recognize that Supervisor Ishida is out today. He is on vacation. We wish him a safe and speedy return. Now is the time for public comments. Those wishing to address the board on an item that is not on today's agenda, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. If you would, please keep your comments to 3 minutes. We'll allow 15 minutes for public comment time. Seeing none, we will move to Board of Supervisor matters. Supervisor Ennis, are you ready down there? Looks like there's...
Hey, I'm always ready.
You're way off at the end today.
No, I don't really have much this morning, other than I would like to thank RMA for support, getting some roads and some different issues in my area taken care of recently, and I just want to thank Kristen and the group over there for their good work. Thank you.
Supervisor Worthley.
Well, only thing I guess, and maybe the CEO may have some comments about the proposed budget from the state coming up, but my understanding is that there will not be the total eradication, at least at this point in time, we understand, of the Williamson Act subvention, but there is definitely on the table the highway user tax for 2 years, which apparently would take only a majority vote. At least that's the position of the state legislature, which would mean that regardless if the Republicans tried to fight it, it wouldn't stop it because they wouldn't be able to overcome the majority vote. But that raises some very serious issues for the county from a policy service perspective of how do we continue to function in our road department without those taxes. So I think we have some really challenging issues facing us in the near future.
Sure do. Thank you, Supervisor Vanderpool.
Just a couple of things. I went to a conference this past weekend, myself and Supervisor Ishida. We were up in Sacramento to attend the local government conference, which was titled Rebuilding California from the Ground Up. And there were over 500 locally elected officials, school board members, city councilmen, and also supervisors and staff that were present at the event. And it was a very good event, and it was nice to have all local governments, or a lot of local governments, present to show that we're all on the same page. If you realize the power that local governments do have, there's over 8,000 locally elected government officials before you get to the state level. And so, you know, Supervisor Ishida made the point a couple of times that if 80 locally elected officials showed up in each legislator's office and told them, you know, hey, you can't do this, you can't take from local government, we might get something done. And that was a pretty powerful message, but it's also scary too to know that there are several of our local counterparts from different areas of the state that think the solution to our financial crisis right now is the fact that we need more revenue. And more revenue comes from the people in the form of taxes, and that's kind of scary. And then second thing and final thing, last night I did a presentation at the Tulare City Planning Commission about the railroad on the east side of Tulare County and the proposed rail abandonment. And it was sure nice to be able to provide the public with accurate information. There's a lot of folks out there that have a difficult time providing accurate information, and it was nice to be able to provide that to the people. And they had questions, and the questions were answered, and I felt that it was a very productive presentation, and tonight I will be presenting at the Tulare City Council meeting. So that's all I have.
Thank you. And our CEO looks like he's leaning forward, and he has some supervisor matters to report.
Yes, we are, to speak to Supervisor Worthley's comments, I read in the Fresno Bee this morning that the Williamson Act did survive in the final budget agreement, although I'm reading emails putting in a doubt, but the Bee reported that it did survive and will be reduced by 20%. So that's good news for us, but certainly the HUDO take will provide some challenges, and we're going to have to meet and talk about what we can do to mitigate the impact of the reduction of those monies.
Well, if it's in the newspaper, it must be true. The only thing I have to report is Supervisor Vanderpool and myself attended a fundraiser for Food Link on Sunday. It was a very nice fundraiser. There was a cook-off, and I'd like everyone to know that my steak was better than Supervisor Vanderpool's. But we had a fun time, and a lot of money was raised for Food Link, who is being hit very hard as we sit here today. The demands on Food Link and giving to those that are in need have nearly doubled this year. So I'd encourage folks to contribute to a legitimate organization like Food Link, emergency aids that give food and shelter and assistance to the needy. Okay, with that being said, we will move to our consent calendar. 2 items that I am aware of need to be pulled. We will pull item number 26 for consideration in the future, so that is off agenda. I need to pull item number 32, which is a first 5 matter, to recuse myself. Are there any other items that need to be pulled, board, for separate consideration? Would any members of the public like to pull a consent calendar item for separate consideration? Seeing none, we will entertain a motion then for the consent calendar, less items 26 and 32.
I would move for approval.
I'll
Less items
second.
26 and
Motion by
32.
Ennis, second by Vanderpool, and I will now recuse myself and leave the podium for 32.
Yes, sir. Take up item 32, which is a first 5 matter. Get a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion second, please cast your votes. Vote passes 3-0. And welcome back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis, you're very timely. We will now go to our untimed item, number 34.
Good morning, Board, CAO, Council.
Morning.
Brian Lewis, Tulare County Librarian. I am here to ask your Board to pass a motion to change the hours of the Tulare County Library system branches effective August the 10th. As you know, our department is also taking some budget hits. We have a 7.5% reduction in our revenues this year. And one of the ideas that came out of the strengthening the bottom line thing that Mr. Rousseau started was to look for ways to save money with our energy bill, to become a little bit more green and save what we could just through common sense. Well, that led to a conversation with RMA about the best way to save major dollars with utilities, and I discovered that you had to be closed consecutive days to really get a savings. Closing a few hours here or there or every other day just doesn't get much of a savings. So we discovered that by pushing our hours together and not having any days in between opening and closing, we could save between 15 to 20% of our utility bill, which is a total of $29,000. The other thing that does for us, it allows us to operate the library in a much easier and efficient fashion because it squeezes everything into a few days. We're green, we're saving energy, and we're putting money back into the book budget. It also saves on travel. So we're not letting anyone go by this. We're not desperately altering hours anywhere. There's actually a positive increasing hours county-wide, very small, but it's there. And we're still there for the public. And I just think that this is a wonderful change that we can make. It has a positive effect to the public, not only now, but every year from now on. Even if we only save the amount of money we estimate to save this year, for the next 10 years, we'll be putting $340,000 to $390,000 back into the materials budget. And I'm really happy with staff. The only way to do it in Visalia, and Visalia is our big building, so that's where we're going to get most of the savings. We either had to open Fridays and close Saturdays, or close Mondays and open Fridays. Well, staff, of course, thought the Monday through Friday was pretty grand because it means no Saturdays. But they really understand that Saturdays is our busiest day per unit. 40 to 50% of our circulation on Saturdays comes from people coming from outside of the Visalia area. They come into the big town of Visalia to do their shopping. So we serve people throughout the county on that day. And it was just too important of a day to close for the savings. So it means staff will have to work every other Saturday, but by going to a 9-4 work week, we were able to get them every other week. They'd have 3 days off in a row. So that was a trade-off that they're more than happy to make. They don't like the Saturdays, but they recognize that we're here to serve the public. So it's something that they really enthusiastically are in favor of, given all that it does for the library budget.
Brian, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm looking at the paper that you gave us with the public hours change effective August 10th. And I'm looking at that, and there's 2 communities with no hours scheduled, and that's Pixley and Terabella. Does that mean the library in those communities is not open at all, or does it mean that there's no change to the hours?
Supervisor, I'm sorry. What that means is those are 2 libraries that are actually operated by the school districts that we partner with.
Okay, great.
And they set the hours.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, I appreciate the librarian's approach of treating it more like a business, and that is you take those days where you have the least amount of use, and those are the days you cut, and you maintain the ones you have the most use. And I think once people get used to the schedule, that's always the issue, I think, is changing schedules. Someone shows up at a day they've always found their library open and it's closed, and now they it just throws off their whole schedule, and they don't know, and they don't come back or whatever. But I think once we establish this and that people get used to it, I do see some benefits. The longer hours during the course of a day can be actually more beneficial, because the way people's work schedules are, being open later into the day is probably critical. We probably will see an increase. I could see an increase in use of our libraries based upon this change, which is a kind of a win-win. We save some money, we put money back into our acquisitions, and we may see a higher utilization of our libraries. So I look forward to seeing, I guess it would be good to see how these things turn out, and I look forward for your reporting back to us how it's working.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Like you say, it looks like an excellent plan, and anything we can do to save money in this economy, we need to be doing. And so it's
Ditto.
a very good job. And I'm looking.
Would anyone else like to comment on this item?
Right. Just one comment on the efficiency thing. It's sure great to see that it's not only the county library would not be considered the largest department, but this just shows that every department is participating in the improvement of efficiencies and the cutting back that's required by this budget situation. So thank you for your help.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Entertain a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Worthley, second by Vanderpool. Unanimous. Thank you very much, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you very much.
Madam Council, do we have a few items on our closed session that we can address while we're waiting for the clock to get to 9:30 for our timed items?
Yes, we do. I believe we can probably get through items A and maybe items B, C, D, and E.
I like your thinking.
Okay, we'll move to closed session and be back shortly after 9:30.
Well, someone might have made a plea, which is, hey, if you're gonna hit us for all those others, and then you're gonna hit the poorest counties with that on top of it, then that's a double whammy for us.
Conway said in order to get some of the Democratic.
Good. Well, yeah, because some of them like Yolo County, and
Oh, yeah.
there's some big ag counties that are affected by it.
Okay, welcome. We're back in open session. We will now take up our public hearing, which is timed item number 3. Mr. Fussell.
Good morning, Board. Britt Fussell, Assistant Director with the Resource Management Agency. With my apologies to Mr. Dawes and to the Board, staff this morning needs to request that the abandonment of Batty Drive in the community of Waukena be continued until August 18th. Over the last couple days, we've been trying to deal with some issues on the need to merger lots because of the access that's eliminated from these lots that were created in the subdivision, and we still have some outstanding questions that we need to resolve. And we have communicated to one of the property owners who did have real concern about that we were going to continue the hearing. So I would request that the Board continue it to August 18th.
Okay. Before we open the public hearing to continue it, is there anything? So this is listed a public hearing. We're going to open the public hearing. Is anybody here to address this item? Okay, we're going to leave the public hearing open and have a request to continue this to August 18th.
I'll make the motion to continue this to August 18th.
Moved by Vanderpool, second by Worthley. We'll see you August 18th, and I guess you're here for item number 4 as well.
Thank you, Board. No, I'm actually...
Jumped the gun.
Good morning, board members. Roger Hunt, RMA. It's going to sound like deja vu, but regarding the public hearing for the planning development fee schedule, because of a noticing problem and providing materials, we ended up providing the materials to the wrong agency, to the Builders Exchange instead of the Home Builders Association. So as a result, we need to request a continuance as well till August 18th.
August 18th. Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Is anyone here today to address item number 4, knowing that it will be continued to August 18th? Seeing none, the public hearing will remain open, and we will entertain a motion.
Move the hearing to August 18th.
Second.
Moved by Ennis, second by Worthley. It's unanimous. We'll see you on the
Thank
18th
you.
as well. Okay, public hearing item number 5, request from RMA to approve placement of community service area number 1 and number 2 delinquent sewer and water service charges.
Thank you. Good morning, Board. Britt Fussell, Assistant Director with the Resource Management Agency. The item before you this morning is our annual delinquency public hearing to place delinquent sewer and water charges on the property tax roll for the zones of benefits within County Service Area Number 1 and County Service Area Number 2. You should have before you a revised resolution and revised exhibits. Once we send out the notice of public hearing regarding this action, we tend to get a lot of activity at the counter with people paying off their delinquent sewer and water charges, keeping in mind that they still pay the interest and the late fees associated with those. Also, Yedem was one of the zones of benefit, Yedem Sewer and Water, that were originally identified for public hearing. However, we had 100% compliance with the request for payment, and so Yedem is now off the list. In addition, there is a party in the chambers this morning that may want to speak to you regarding Traver, Traver Sewer, in that last year your board rolled the delinquent sewer charges in Traver on a property that then went into tax sale. This individual purchased that property, and because of the timing of these actions, the knowledge of this going to the roll to the tax sale he wasn't aware of. When he received his tax bill, he went ahead and paid it. And now he's questioning, since those were not charges that he incurred, because he didn't own the property when the charges were incurred, and that he wasn't aware of the item being before the public hearing because of just the timing of the events. He does not believe that those charges should be his, so he's basically asking for reimbursement. Now, I have submitted a request for an opinion from County Council as to whether or not, because of the timing of these events, whether there are even charges that the county could legitimately collect. But again, it's not an item that's before you this morning, but since he did receive a notice from delinquent charges that he has since paid for last year, he may want to speak to you on this issue this morning. With that,
So
I respond to
he's
any
not on this list?
No, he's not on this list this morning, no. But as I said, he has an outstanding issue that I am working with him to try to clear up. With that, I would respond to any questions that the board may have and then request that you hold the public hearing on the delinquent charges.
Any questions? Okay, we will open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to address the board on this item, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. And while you're walking this way, I'm going to ask County Council if this is actually in regards to this item, because this is just placing delinquent fees on the tax bills.
Right, it isn't. Actually, we'd be considering this under public comment. They would have to bring a matter back to you, probably under Section 135 of the Ordinance Code for a refund of the...
Okay, so we'll consider this the public comment then. Just go ahead, sir. State your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, my name is Antonio Alcala, and this is my wife Eunice, and like he kind of explained it
Can
basically.
we have your address, please, for the record?
Okay, my address is 18266 Grangeville Boulevard in Lemoore. Okay, he kind of explained it basically exactly what I was going to say, that it was put on my tax roll for 2008, 2009, and what he said, it was incurred for 2007, 2008, which was the time that I didn't own the property. And then like I came down here to see if I can either get reimbursed or credited for that $333.78, because that monthly sewer bill belonged to the previous owner. And everything else he said was basically what I was going to tell you, and he said it pretty well, exactly like I was going to tell you guys.
Mr. Chairman, I might ask a question. Sir, how much money are we talking about?
$333.78.
I hope you understood that that's the matter that's not before us today on our agenda. I mean, we are here to talk about those who are on the list that will be going on to the tax rolls. Yours is a situation which is where Mr. Fussell is trying to work with you and seek a legal opinion from our counsel to find out how best to proceed with this. So we won't be able to take any kind of action on your request today. That's something which will have to be looked at. It may not even require coming back to the board if it can be handled outside. Otherwise, it may come back to the board for our review.
Yeah, like you guys meet every year about, I think it's July 7th.
We meet every week, so it doesn't.
Well, I mean, for delinquent sewers, I think.
But your situation is different. This is, we meet annually on these particular matters to setting, we have to do this by a certain date in order to be sure they get onto the tax rolls. But yours is a situation which is not tied to that in any way.
Because if I would have got a letter like which I got this year for the sewer delinquents, that would have been here last year at this time discussing this same matter. But since I didn't receive a notice, I just figured I could come today and discuss the same matter from the previous year.
Yeah, you don't have to wait a year. You do not have to wait a year. This will be taken care of, and I think we'll direct Mr. Fussell and County Council not to spend $400 in legal time researching the issue unless it's easier to cut a check, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing is still open. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board.
For approval.
Moved by Mr. Ennis.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Vanderpool. Unanimous. We'll now adjourn as the Tulare County Board of Supervisors and convene as a Terabella Sewer Maintenance District.
Good morning, Board. Britt Fussell, Assistant Director with the Resource Management Agency. And again, this item is similar to the one you just previously undertook. That's to place the delinquent sewer charges for the Terabella Sewer Maintenance District on the property tax roll. Again, this is a public hearing. With that, I respond to any questions that the board may have.
I see one large item here that's about half.
Yes. I
Is
believe,
this a repeat offender, or is this?
I believe that is a repeat offender, and every year they just don't pay on a monthly basis, roll it to property taxes. They end up, you seeing, they are suffering a penalty of $652, and they pay it with their property taxes and do the same thing over again.
They have paid, they're not rolling this
Right.
and accumulating. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? This is a public hearing. Anybody wishing to address the board in regards to the Terabella Sewer Maintenance District, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll close public hearing and bring it back to the board.
Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Ennis, second by Mr. Worthley, and it's unanimous.
Thank you, Board.
We're going to adjourn as the Terabella Sewer Maintenance District and reconvene as the Tulare County Board of Supervisors to close session.
And you'll need to convene as the IHSS authority if you haven't also.
And we will do that as well.
And then we do have, okay, and we do have closed sessions. We did not get to item A, so we'll take it up this time. We did finish items B, C, and D, and E, and we'll also do the remainder of the items on the agenda. That goes through item M. I do expect some reports out.
We do expect a report out. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is Chief Deputy County Counsel Julia J. Roberts. I am reporting out of closed session on item number G on the Tulare County Board of Supervisors, July 21st, 2009 agenda meeting. I am reporting out on the case of Thad and Sandra Young versus City of Visalia, County of Tulare et al., U.S. DC case number 1:09-CV-00115-AWI-GSA. Okay. The action taken by the Board of Supervisors was to give approval to legal counsel to defend the litigation on behalf of individual employee, a former employee, Chris Jennings, in this matter. The parties to the litigation are the defendants, Thad and Sandra Young. The defendants to the action are the County of Tulare, the City of Visalia, and the former County of Tulare Deputy Sheriff Chris Jennings et al. The substance of the litigation was an alleged civil rights violation by the plaintiffs. The vote in the matter, the motion was made by Supervisor Worthley, seconded by Supervisor Ennis. The vote in the matter was 4 in favor, with Supervisor Alan Ishida absent.